Alright, YouTube. It's another one of these videos for me. I don't like to do these just because I'm not a gun expert or whatever, but I just want to talk about a couple things. Keep it very brief. So this is my Century Arms C308. All in all, I would say not a bad rifle, but that's not what I'm here to talk about. It has a lot of cool factor. A lot of people come up to me at the range and ask me like, "Oh, is that a Heckler and Koch or all that business?" But I'd say overall a decent performing rifle. I mean, I bought it just because I have a single stack 45, a pump action shotgun, and so I figured I might as well just go with this to fill out the three-man heavy metal division if I ever decide to get into three-gun competitions. But anyway, like I said, overall decent performer, no complaints. I've seen some videos on YouTube where basically they say that this gun is complete shit, does not perform. Just to answer whether or not it's complete shit or not, apparently it's made with a like a PTR barrel, and then a lot of surplus set-me parts, the ones from Spain. They bought out the last of whatever surplus parts were sitting around for the set-me and put them in this. Anyway, so to talk about what I really wanted to talk about was I had bought this Boresighter from Sportsman's Guide. I think this is the advertisement right here. HQ issue brass laser Boresighter. At least on the website it said that this would be good for 100 yards to bore sight in. Not only is that not true, during the middle of the day, I went around like 11 a.m. in the morning, and you couldn't see this shit at 100 yards, which it says on its on the advertising, like, good for 100 yards, and that's how you're zeroed and all that bullshit. But at 50 yards, I could barely see this. I had to put it on like a piece of wood, and at 50 yards, and I could just barely see it. At 100 yards, I had to find like a piece of reflective metal and try and use that as the laser bore sight. It may work, I don't know, but once I thought I had it bore sighted in, I was still shooting like way too high. The range master had to come up and tell me that I was shooting high with even though I had tried to bore sight in with this piece of shit. What does it say right here? If we can get this to zoom. What does that say? BME? No, SME. I don't know, who cares? I thought, for the price it's not bad, but I was hoping it would work, as opposed to, pay $15 and now I've just got a fancy laser pointer. A couple other things that might play into factor here. So, at least with this particular, the Century C308, you get this Picatinny rail. So I went to Big 5 maybe a couple months ago, and I got this Trinity Force Redcon 2. I forget what the model number is, but it was basically a 3:9 magnification. It does red, green, and blue as far as illuminating the crosshairs. But this thing's a piece of shit too. I only spent like $120 on this shit, and these little screws down here keep coming loose, so I end up having all this scope wiggle. Basically, the power of the 308 pushes it back hard enough when I'm shooting it that it hits me in the sunglasses or whatever protective eyewear that I'm wearing. And so I think what happens is the sheer power of it just causes the base on this to get loosened, and therefore, at least once it hits my goggles, and then you got like a little bit of scope wiggle. I can't really do it here with one hand. I'm trying to, but the idea though is that there's just enough wiggle on this that maybe you can hear it wiggling around. You can kind of see the fact that I can push it with my fingers, alternating between thumb and finger here. Anyway, point is, so yeah, this Trinity 4 scope sucks too. I'm gonna be trying to look into like a inexpensive Leopold or Nikon, just because I don't know. I was hoping that something like this would just be inexpensive enough to work. I didn't need anything fancy. And especially, like, on the Late Boy Scouts YouTube channel, he said, oh, you know, fucking don't bother investing more than you need to, or really all that much, into buying a scope for this gun, because it's going to be, like, you know, 3 or 4 MOA if you're on a good day or something like that. Now, even with a shit Boresight and a shit scope, I managed to do this grouping here, which is about 3 MOA, but that was my best 5 grouping. Everything else, I was pretty much aiming dead center, and you can see like there's these 3 here, but I'm like way off, way the fuck off. If this was a group, I mean that's 2 MOA, you know, give or take, but I wasn't even going for that. I was like aiming way the fuck over here. One thing I'll also attribute is that although this isn't a bad gun, the trigger just absolutely sucks. I think I have the tendency to jerk it one direction or the other. If you look at basically I used this target as a backstop for the rest of these targets. And as you can see, I got like some way the fuck over here, some way the fuck over here. And then this one wasn't so bad overall as far as both of these. In either case, you know, we're talking about like 12 inches across. I mean, if you're aiming center mass on a human target and you need to defend yourself, you'll definitely hit where you're aiming at. But if you're going for like headshots, it's, you know, it's not that accurate. I saw guys who were shooting 223 bolt action rifles that were literally like, let's say they would hit here and then like there. They had like a literal bullet hole line of, well, bullet holes. Anyway, fucking, if I had any recommendations, don't buy this fucking Boresight. Don't buy this scope. Let's see if I can find the model number on that real quick. Here we go. There's the model number, SR11S3942RGBH. Trinity Force Redcon. Piece of shit. Don't buy it.